Hey guys, I had an opportunity to try out this. Basically, I was giving Lok-N-Roll nuts from Gregory over at the company, and he sent this nut to me, and I was pretty skeptical about how it was going to work. I didn't really think it was going to do much. I mean, anything's an improvement on an original Floyd nut anyway. If anybody has any experience with those things, know that the quality of the old dies that they're using and stuff, they need to retool and take care of some quality things that we in the industry have been dealing with for years, as far as poor quality, as far as not just plating but the polishing of the metal itself. Just the dies are worn out. And anyway, throwing this nut on here, it has some really clean channels, as far as string channels, as far as slots, and that's a big improvement over a Floyd Rose original nut in the first place. You'll find with a Floyd Rose original nut, you have to do a lot of filing. You have to do some filing to kind of clean up the slot a little bit to keep the string from either buzzing or sitaring. Sometimes the string clamps will actually, when you go to tighten those up, will actually clip the string because there's a little bit of a gap or a little bit of a ledge that the string gets clipped off at inside of the nut shelf. So this nut is already a big improvement. As far as playing, I'm still kind of going back and forth with it, but I can really hear a good difference between strings and open note, fretted strings and open note strings. So it's kind of cool. So as far as clarity and stuff, I definitely find a big improvement just in the nut overall as far as clarity of sound. The way the nut went on, it was perfect. There was no issue with retrofitting this nut. I basically took the old nut off and put the new nut on and screwed it into the same screw holes, everything. And I'll put some pictures, but there's a nut shelf that basically extends out over the fingerboard. I don't know if you can see that too well, but I have some pictures that'll show it a little bit. But this concept isn't new as far as a compensated nut and kind of adjusting for that. I didn't want to think that there was really much that was going to happen with a compensated nut in terms of once you fret and you're playing bar chords and stuff, how that was going to actually affect the sound. But so far it has a much clearer sound. Some of your open strings, your G string kind of a problematic area, your D. So it's really cleaned up the sound of this guitar. And this is just a Jackson import that I've had for a while, and it's basically a beater. Doesn't have a Floyd original bridge on it. It's just something I had laying around, but this was the guitar that I wanted to kind of test this on, and it already automatically, I was never happy with the sound of the nut that was on it. So, and that had an original nut, a Floyd original nut. But anyway, a lot of times those nuts sound dead, and this thing just springs really clear. It's it's definitely an improvement. If it's not a miracle cure for anything, it's definitely an improvement over an existing nut, and I think it's worth the price just to upgrade the nut alone, just for that purpose. And the string lies are very super clean. The strings go in clean. There was no buzzy sound open. There's no no kind of weird sound once I clamped everything down. Everything's been clear. The clarity is just the same whether it was clamped or unclamped. So that's a difference you'll see in a lot of the Floyd original nuts. So I would definitely say that I could recommend this nut just for that alone. It retrofitted, like I said, perfectly. Took off the old nut, threw this thing on. I didn't have to do any kind of shimming, any kind of modding of the nut shelf at all. This one actually set up a little bit cleaner than the Floyd original nut that was on this thing. So that's cool. Obviously I don't know everything about these. This is just my first experience with one of these nuts, and it was sent to me, and I said I would check it out and kind of give my feedback on it. I'm not a pro player or anything. I've played for a long time, but just my experience with Floyd Rose tremolos. I mean, most of the companies that I've worked for, we use Floyd's probably 85% of the time at least. So that's kind of a lot of experience to have with Floyd Roses. So I figured I can at least give some feedback on it that would be maybe found as valuable to some of you guys out there, you know. But it sounds cool though. As far as you know, obviously your playing style is going to come into effect with any guitar. The quality of the fretwork too, stuff like that. So there's some other variables there that you have to take into consideration. So basically, I took this guitar, I took the I kept everything the same, set up the same. All I did was dump the bar, so I had some slack in the strings, remove the nut, put the new nut on, and that was it. I didn't do any other kind of mods. I didn't change strings or anything. So I kept the same strings just to kind of A/B everything as much as possible. So I would definitely say that I would use one of these nuts, just like I said, for the things that I mentioned alone, just because it's clearer. It sounds good when you're playing open notes, against fretted notes. So it sounds really good as far as intonation and everything. The string paths are clean, like I said. Open notes are clean, so there isn't any kind of drawback whatsoever. Whereas with an original Floyd nut, any good tech knows that you have to mod those a little bit to get those to sound clean and stuff. And you're not straight out. You can't just get a Floyd nut out of the box, throw it on, and expect it to sound good. So if anybody has, it's kind of a rarity. And and in my experience, more often than not, you have to clean up those string slots on a Floyd Rose nut. So anyway, just my 2 cents on it, but just thought you guys want to kind of hear some stuff and some feedback on it. So that's it so far. All right, thanks.